Well, good evening and welcome to the very first Psychedelic Capital from MicroDose. My name's Richard Skaife. I'm one of the founding partners at the Conscious Fund. I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining us. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Myself, I'm broadcasting from London, but we have people who are joining us from all over the world. We're going to break down the event into a couple of different sections. It's going to run for a couple of hours. I'm going to be introducing my co-founding partner from the Conscious Fund, Henri Saint-Cassier, in just a moment. And of course, in true virtual conference style, we're dealing with some of the normal technical gremlins that you would expect from people's different internet connections. So Henri is going to be joining us by audio only, because if we turn on his video, then he disappears into the background. Like I said, we're breaking the event down into a couple of different parts. We are going to be talking to four of the most pioneering companies in the space. First up will be Field Trip, and Henri will be in conversation with Ronan, who is one of the founding team from Field Trip, very, very shortly. We then have three other amazing companies who are leading the way in psychedelic medicine, who we will be talking with. Then we will join all the companies together. We're going to have a little bit of a state of the industry. And then right at the very end of the event, we'll be joined by the Canadian Securities Exchange and Haywood. We're going to be talking about what it takes to take a company public in the psychedelic market. So hopefully we've worked our way through some of the technical gremlins, and I should be joined on the line by Henri Saint-Cassier. Hello, Henri.
Good evening, Richard. How's everything going?
Well, I think things are going better at my end technically than they are at yours.
They are, but some people might be glad that my video's off. So I'll continue in audio only, and hopefully I can be heard clearly.
It does mean, of course, that you can sit there naked. I didn't get a response from that, and that means either the audio has completely disappeared or he is indeed sat there naked. Henri, are you with us? No, that's the marvels of modern technology.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are there. You are. Unfortunately, you seem to be going into Dalek mode at the moment. I just wanted to really sort of touch on a kind of a bit of a state of the industry before you dive off and you go into conversation with Field Trip. A little bit about the Conscious Fund before we do that. We are one of the most active investors in the world in the domain of psychedelic medicine. Please don't let the British accent fool you. We are global investors. We have investment teams all over the world in the real hotspots of all things psychedelics. So team in the United States, Michael, who heads up that team, I'm sure will be watching us right now, or if he's not, where are you? And also we have venture partners in Canada who help us pull out a lot of the amazing opportunities which are originating out of Canada right now. So Henri, just sort of touching really sort of state of the industry as you've seen it. We've looked at, I think, nearly every transaction that's in the market. Well, what are we seeing right now as a kind of a common theme in terms of companies who are going out and raising money?
I think that there is a definite acceleration in the market. There is a lot more urgency in the way that rounds are being funded, and also there's a distinct sense of urgency in the way that companies are looking for a rapid RTO or go public track. There are definitely, from our perspective as a fund, a lot more copycat decks making their way into the venture capital space. But there is also a distinct quality about what we're seeing in terms of companies that have got very long-term plans and very long-term commitments. So the space is getting increasingly complicated, and I think we're going to see a schism between companies that are very serious, that are psychedelic medicine plays, and pure public market plays, where the psychedelic element is almost an add-on to what's happening.
Understood. And in terms of the types of companies that we're seeing at the moment, for people who are kind of new to the psychedelics medicine space, could you maybe just sort of break down the sort of the different subsectors and maybe give some sort of percentages in terms of what we see that sort of makeup looking like at the moment?
So the biggest sector by far, I think, in terms of size and also number of transactions, is drug discovery. So that's companies using psychedelic compounds to produce medicines, and these will go through clinical trial pathways towards some form of exit, and that will typically be an acquisition of the drug or the company by, say, a pharmaceutical company. Drug discovery is probably 70% of what we see. It's a long-term play, and it is very similar to what you'd see in biosciences, in pharmaceutical, in other sectors. The second type of play is clinics, and in fact we'll be talking to Field Trip shortly, who are one of the leading clinic plays, and these are clinics which will offer psychedelic treatments or psychedelic enhanced therapies. Some are bricks and mortar, others are involved in retrofitting existing facilities or providing things like protocols. The third big category is addiction, and that's around typically ibogaine and treatments for every kind of addiction, from drugs, alcohol, smoking, you name it. Then you've got a big category which is emerging. It is smaller at the moment, it's a little bit more niche, but there are nutraceutical and nootropic companies, and these are typically producing supplements that fall outside regulatory frameworks. They're sold as food supplements. That's analogous in a way to CBD within the cannabis market. It's called often functional mushrooms, which is the industry term. That's probably the fourth biggest category. And then you've got some very interesting ancillary businesses around data, mood monitoring apps, patient access and telemedicine apps. And those generally are the five categories. I would say that drug discovery is the biggest, clinics is the second, and the rest, that sort of 60-30 split, and the remaining 10% is mixed up of the rest.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to your conversation with Field Trip very shortly. For anybody who's just joining us, who's a little bit late to the party, welcome. This is Psychedelic Capital from MicroDose. My name is Richard Skaife from the Conscious Fund. If you're interested in any of the companies who are going to be talking over the next 2 hours, we're going to do all the hard work for you. Tomorrow we will send a follow-on email with a copy of their most recent investment materials and a points person who will be responsible for any conversations you want to enter into. So you don't need to be rapidly scribbling down lots and lots of notes or writing down contact details. We're going to pass all of those details on to you directly to the email address that you registered with. So we'll do all of that for you. If you want to follow us on social media, then you can reach us at MicroDose HQ on Twitter. That's MicroDose HQ on Twitter. About 500 people have signed up to join us tonight, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It shows the inertia which is happening in this market. And this is really for us our first big event following our main psychedelic event that we ran at the end of April, where we had 1,300 attendees and a little over 100 speakers over 2 days. And we cut across the depth and breadth of the psychedelic industry. And one of the things that we heard from a lot of people was, I'm very, very interested in looking at deploying money into this space. How can I go about finding companies which have been curated? How can I arrange to have conversations with the founders? They all seem to be very, very busy. So we thought what a great idea it would be to bring some of the leading companies into the same location and for you to be able to listen to that story from those companies. And that's what ultimately we're going to be doing over the next 2 hours. And then we'll bring all of the companies together. We'll talk about the state of the industry from an entrepreneur's perspective. And then at the very end, we're going to wrap things up with a conversation about what it takes to go public, where we have the Canadian Securities Exchange and Haywood, who will be talking about a successful go public journey. Signing off right now. I look forward to seeing you towards the end of the event. Please enjoy the next 2 hours. Like I said, don't worry, you don't have to copy down all of the details of the companies. If you're interested in having a conversation with them, we will be sending a follow-on email with all of their contact details and all of their materials. So signing off for now, I'm going to hand you over to Henri, and he's going to go into conversation with Ronan from Field Trip. Thank you.